Welcome to UJustBe Universe podcast series Relationship with Self. Shifting of emotions and having access of those emotions which leads you into self transformation means what? So we have a various range of emotions and we're keeping touch base or taking touch base on those various aspects of emotions in our life, and consciously, unconsciously or subconsciously we deal with the various range of emotion in every situation which we're not aware about, right? So what exactly? So we have two orbiters with us, the very experienced orbiters who leads their life in a different way and gain a lot of experience in their life in terms of controlling the emotion in a different way. They are taking us a journey of emotions and they're exploring the various emotions like fear, anger, jealousy, what is impact of those emotions in our life and how they are controlling our life. Also they are also touching one of the vital and important aspect or the important topic that today's kids are undergoing. They are giving us some glimpse for the parents to how to tackle the children so they can also experience the same kind of emotions that we were expressing in our time. So we have our two orbiters, is one is the Satish Thampi and one is the Nandu Aiyer, to sharing their absolute experience and the knowledge to overcome our emotions and take a charge of our emotions in a different way, and that is opening up a different possibility and perspective about our emotions. Stay tuned with us and enjoy this podcast, and it's going to be very intense. Thank you.
Good evening, Satish. As you may have heard somewhere, my name is Nandu Aiyer. I've been with this UJustBe organization right from the time it started because Rajiv, who is the founder of UJustBe, is a very good friend of mine. And he also happens to be my business partner. We work together in this company called Career Key Solutions, where we make customized software for businesses. And personally, I live in Thane with my family. And I have many likes in life, mostly related to music, which I'm sure you also love a lot. And I'm heavily into sports also. So that's like a brief introduction about me.
Okay, nice to know you.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm Satish Thampi. Satish Thampi. So I also got to know about UJustBe through you actually. So you actually brought me into UJustBe. And that's how I got to know Rajiv. And then since knowing Rajiv, I found him to be a very great individual. And through him, I got to know some other great people like Sanjay Guruji and all that, when I did the ontological course. So thank you for that, introducing me to UJB and to Rajiv and Kavita and all the other great people here. So today I'm having a really bad cold. So,
okay.
excuse me for that. I am into the profession of making corporate films. My company's name is S&V Multimedia Productions, Sound and Vision Multimedia. It used to be Satish and some partner's name, but now it is Sound and Vision Multimedia Productions, S&V Multimedia. So we make corporate films for businesses of all types, big as well as small. And it has always been an organic growth that way. Before I got into making these corporate films, I used to be with in the IT industry. Earlier it was with Accenture, before that with Patni and so on. So I have been throughout for almost 25 years in the IT industry. Done technical roles and everything and pre-sales, and after that I moved out into something to follow my passion. So that's been my journey from a professional perspective. I stay in Thane, very close to your place, in fact, and I have one wife and one
Good.
kid. Kid is also, kid has now started, he's just gone abroad to pursue further education. That is briefly my history.
Okay. Good.
A very brief thing.
Nice one.
Yeah. So actually, it's a good opportunity that we have today to discuss one point that that has been given to us. Experiencing a shift of emotions and having access to those emotions, which leads to self-transformation. Would you want to speak something about it, or?
Yeah. First, I'd like to know: are you a very emotional person?
Emotional,
Since we are
yeah.
discussing emotions.
Yes, yes.
So you get emotional easily, or only in certain kinds of situations which bring out something in you?
Yeah, no, when you say emotional means crying or something, maybe not. But
Yeah, there is a range of emotions.
Range of
but do you react very easily?
I do express it, but not too much. There is actually a veil, something that prevents me from bringing out my emotions.
Okay.
So that is generally what I have noticed. But over a period of time, with age, that has changed. That has changed, yeah.
Okay. So now you are more cool, if I can put it that way.
In fact, I have been cool earlier also, but I never used to bring out my emotions. Like if I'm angry, that anger is not expressed. I don't know how, but internally some anger will be there, but externally that doesn't get expressed. Similarly, happiness. Like I remember that when I was young, when somebody cracks a joke, I would be scared of laughing loudly. Okay. Expressing it loudly was something which was a kind of taboo in my mind, and probably that taboo was because I remember my mother and all my elders, my mother as well as my mother's side, some other people. They should ज़्यादा हंसेगा ना तो रोना पड़ेगा.
Okay. It's almost like a superstition.
It is a superstition talk. So maybe that is what got me to क्या बोलते हैं उसको दबा कर रखने का. That emotion. तो हंसी आएगा तो भी है ना अंदर मैं ऐसा हंसता था. तो कभी बाहर नहीं निकलेगा ऐसा. मुंह में भी जितना कम लेके आएगा उतना अच्छा. So that used to be the way I used to go about it. I don't know how it was with you.
It was almost similar. I mean, I can relate to a lot of these points because I'm an only son, and right from childhood I've been very introverted.
Acha, okay.
Yeah. And I was more into books and stuff rather than, I mean, I was very good in sports, but too much into books and all that stuff. And some of it, like you said, almost, it was something forbidden to display too much emotion. Yeah. So when I used to get angry, and of course, now I realize it is what we call as passive aggressiveness.
Yeah.
Because I used to carry that anger around with me, and it probably burst out at the wrong time with the wrong people.
Okay.
So, then once I realized that this is what is happening, I managed to keep a curb on it. And nowadays I kind of express myself freely so that, it has to be out of the system.
Yeah.
You can't have it inside you and it shouldn't be carried on because you're only unnecessarily bottling things up.
Right.
And it usually used to burst out at the wrong time against a family member, which, I used to regret it later, feel guilt, etc. So now I'm quite more aware. When I'm feeling anger and I feel it has to be expressed, I do it straight away at that point in time.
At that point in time. That's good actually. It doesn't stay bottled inside.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And with regard to even the excess smiling and all, I just don't do that.
No?
I tend to keep a poker face. That is something which has been always there. So
is it the same way now also? Or?
It is now also, and what has happened is I've got a reputation for being humorous and being a joker and all that.
Okay.
So whenever I do crack something, I do it with a poker face, so that kind of adds to the effect. So people are like, "अरे तुम इतना joke मारते हो लेकिन मुंह में कुछ दिखता नहीं है और अच्छा लगता है." I said, "Okay, it's a good way to be impassive." Though I feel the emotion, it doesn't come out that easily. But what about a negative emotion like anger? How do you deal with it?
Anger, as I said, no. I think it has been there since my birth only. Like उसको क्या बोलते हैं, hereditary है kind of, or something passed on from my father. My father was a extremely cool person. Hardly ever have I seen anger in his countenance. Like, but if he gets angry, then he might raise his hand. but he has never hit me up till date. At least I don't remember. Once, for some reason, my cousin sister, she happened to go to some friend's house, and she came back late. So that point of time, that sense of "Arey, kya ho gaya? Kidhar gaya?" He used to love my sister very much. तो कहाँ गया? तो that actually that anger, ना, that अंदर से ऐसा उमड़ के आया जैसे ही उस दरवाजा खोला, and when she was standing at the door, he just gave one hitting, hit her on the leg. Even today, that mark is there. Can you imagine? So that's the power of the. It is not anger; it is concern plus anger mixed. It's a different kind of situation. So so I realized that is what happens if you burst out in anger. If that, or if you keep anger to yourself, it might just burst out like this. It can mean anything. So maybe my father's cool nature is what translated to me, and I have a good control over anger. But over the years, as the age progresses, that the ability to control this anger is little reduced.
Okay.
In the sense, now suppose if I'm busy in some activity, some work activity, and somebody comes and disturbs, because what happens in my kind of work, it's a creative kind of work. So I'm thinking, and some things are going on in my mind, and I want to put it down in a particular way, and so I'm concentrating on the screen or paper or whatever, and where I'm writing. So I'm constantly thinking, and my focus is there. And then somebody keeps on hammering me, especially my wife. Then I say, "Rukna tu." So then she says, "Yeah, what is this?" I say, but that never used to be earlier. So she says, "Aap pehle aise nahi the. Abhi aisa kaisa ho gaya?" So this happens. But I rarely express my anger.
I can relate to this also. Like you said, we generally tend to kind of burst out at the people who are closest. Same things happen with my wife also. And she's like, "You have this great reputation for being cool and all that. But with me, why are you like this?"
Exactly. Now the same cool nature is there with my son also. But I find that he is still a little bit more expressive in his anger part, at least with the family, but not with others. So I think that thing is going on from generation to generation.
Okay.
So over time, we will come to know how it is. And what about the other emotions? Anger के अलावा means ये इसका क्या मतलब आपको लगा? Experiencing a shift of emotions.
Yeah, what I understood from that is basically you're in a particular mindset, something happens, and how you react to that leads to a shift in emotions. For example, you may be feeling quite okay and happy about something, and then something comes which acts as an irritation or something. So immediately your mood changes and you move to a different emotion. It could be anger, it could be fear, it could be irritation, whatever it may be. And how you deal with this particular emotion, that new one that comes up, that is what is transforming you basically. And it's the need actually to understand and isolate this emotion for what it is, not react blindly, and respond to it properly. And this is how it leads to our own growth. We need to become better. For example, if you're reacting very negatively to something, you need to know that okay, anger is not a good emotion to be dependent on every time. I should not be striking out or whatever. So I need to control it. So something like this helps.
Okay.
And like you said, it's all coming with age.
Yeah.
Because the way I used to react to certain things before, I don't do that anymore. I'm more very, very objective about it. And very early I can recognize in myself that okay, this thing is going to, kind of set me boiling, put me on the boil or something. So I have to handle it in a better way, and I need to be cool. Second aspect to all of this is some part of the spiritual training of Sanjay sir, like you mentioned. So one of the overall credos or philosophies behind that thing is to understand that everything is okay. That's like a big learning. So regardless of what we think is happening at the moment, it's not really true, and it is up to us to keep control on the situation and on ourselves and be in a state of okayness. It is extremely difficult to practice. I mean, this is maybe I'm just talking some theory, it could be like that, but then it is something to live by, rather ideal to aspire to. So I try to do that at most times, and I try to be equanimous and cool. So that is a constant struggle which is going on.
Acha.
But over the days, I'm finding that it's becoming more and more easier to me that way. That's how it is.
So that spiritual training is helping you.
Absolutely, yes, that has to. Because included in that is also, techniques of yoga like pranayama, meditation, etc. And if you keep doing these things regularly, they generally bring you to a state of balance. So that I found is very good for personal and professional life. Helps me everywhere. Have you ever felt scared of anything?
Scared? Yeah. Physically scared also, as well as
mentally, of course.
The other way also means physically scared mainly like seeing a rope in the night and thinking it is a snake. That kind of a situation. So I remember going to marathon Mathiran once when I was a child through our school, and in the night, it was late at night, and we were sitting outside. It was a big garden, so it's like Mathiran, as you know, it's natural So that place where we were sitting, just a little ahead that side was a jungle kind of place. So I had gone there to relieve myself. I felt I saw something white, moving, and incidentally, just the day before, we were discussing ghosts. Friends,
as usual in the night.
As usual. वो सफेद कपड़े में जाने का and all that. I was pretty young. I think I was having in the 8th standard, 9th standard. So I saw this. It passed in my mind कि अरे ये भूत तो होगा. I was really scared. So that is one scary emotion that I had, and I just came back fast. उसके बाद वो हो गया कि 2 जन को दोस्त लोग को बुला रहे मैंने white कुछ देखा उधर. And that actually led me to a fever. The next day I was running a fever. So there was nothing like that. I think it was just a क्या बोलते हैं रात को इसका light जाड़ी का लगेगा तो जरा whitish feeling आता है ना. It's just that. So that is one of the scary. That is the physical scary moment. The other scary moment is like, अरे will I get a job? अरे will I get this? Will I do well in this exam? Fail होगा क्या pass होगा? All these kind of scary thoughts. These are the things that used to scare. Yeah. So this has been the scary things that I have experienced. आपका कैसा?
I think being an introvert, just communicating openly with people, even that used to be a scare when I was a kid. Very afraid to talk to strangers and this and that. Grow up, get into a job, etc. It becomes more and more easy. And especially you have to kind of train yourself to go out there because you may be a manager or leading people, etc. There you can't afford to sit in one place and be scared of things. That was there. When you talk of fear, one big fear which I feel is common to a lot of people is that of public speaking. So somewhere or the other you got to stand in front of a big crowd and speak, etc. It used to be a hell of a problem for me. But then I really worked on it because I found preparation is the key to all of these things. Anywhere I had to speak, give a speech, whatever, I'd make sure to spend a lot of hours in preparation, so that regardless of how much fear I felt in front of the audience, I was able to speak. Secondly, I've joined a couple of networking groups also, as you may know. Anyone out there, they make it a point to force you to speak. So doing that it has become completely natural to me. So now I don't fear crowds anymore. So it is like you have whatever be your fear, you have to just confront it with an open mind and then find out ways in which you can tackle that fear. And then it kind of naturally goes away. Are you comfortable with public speaking and all that?
Public speaking, no. It has always been a fear. Even though I can meet people without having that palpitation, even singing is not a problem. I sing in front of crowds. I have no issues. But you talk, after I finish my singing, if you ask me to go and talk a few words, finish. I will start sweating. So I don't know why, but that is, maybe it is because of preparation. I think preparation helps because I noticed one thing, as you have been doing with marketing, for marketing your thing, you have been going to these places, networking places. I also, when I shifted from IT to my current profession of making business videos, I had to present my business.
You have to make a sales pitch all the time.
A sales pitch all the time. So there I had to make a present. I was given a 10-minute opportunity to present my business. Now the thing is, maybe I must have made 5-6 videos, but making corporate films is not so simple.
Yeah.
There are lots of processes, and many of these things are known to me because of my reading abilities. I used to read and listen to videos and all that kind of stuff. So I know these. But then to logically put it in front of so many people, and that too as a sales pitch, was something really, it really scared the shit out of me, really. But somehow I made it. And they all got up and gave me a good ovation. That was really very encouraging for me, because after that, there have been many other meetings that I've had with multiple people, whether it is single person or whether it is in front of a group or talking to some people about videos and video creation. I found myself to be at ease talking to them. I still am scared of doing, extempore speeches. Even when I'm singing, after singing also, or before singing, if I have to introduce a song, it's an extempore thing. There also I'm scared. I don't know why. Maybe it is because of this lack of preparation or something. I don't know. But that's how it is.
So at least we have kind of come to know the key behind all these things is preparedness. That particular fear is.
Yeah. I think that's what this probably means. And having access to those emotions. Having access to those emotions.
Understanding that, okay, I'm feeling fear at this point in time, and how am I going to respond to it?
Now with our conversation, I'm trying to get an understanding of this, experiencing a shift of emotions. Because, as you said, a person goes through different emotions unconsciously. So, if you are angry at some person and suddenly you realize then that it is not his mistake, then your emotion changes. And then you feel that guy is poor guy, bichara, usko kya kar sakte? Then your emotion changes to something else. So from anger, it has shifted to something totally different, sympathy kind of, empathy kind of an emotion. So these are all fleeting through you. Okay, so you're not thinking about it. Whereas when you see experiencing a shift of emotions is, I think, consciously realizing it ki, this emotion, I'm getting this anger. Oh gosh. So then the ability to access those emotions. So the ability for me to now thinking, I'm getting angry. I need to control myself. I can feel the pulse the heart beating faster. So I need to bring it under control. I should not get angry. What is the point in getting angry? And then slowly accessing this shift of emotions is probably what is meant over here. And I think our discussion is really helping in getting a better viewpoint on this. Experiencing a shift of emotions, but experiencing it and having access to what that emotion is that emotion required at that point of time? Some time back, I think last year, I was driving my car. Properly I was driving the car, and from the other side, another car was coming. And suddenly I can see that car is coming towards me. It is the other side of the road. She can just go straight, but it's coming towards me. I thought that, gosh, what is she doing? Maybe she's just lost control of it or something. Is she not? But that point of time, it is not that kya hoga. It is anger that is coming in me. Because when I later on think about it, I was thinking, this seems to be anger. Why is that lady coming towards me? You can't see properly. And I just went ahead. So I pressed my accelerator and went a little ahead, so that even if she comes, she will not dash me. But unfortunately, she came and dashed the backside of the car. Otherwise, I would have been in the target of that crash. मैं जरा सा एक्सीलरेटर दबाया करके पीछे आके लगा. उसके बाद I was like inside when I was sitting, I could feel that something course through me, like anger and sadness. क्या रे गाड़ी को क्या हो गया? And something else, I don't know what. Fear. I think fear. अभी क्या होगा? And police kya karenge? Means what is going to means how do I deal with the situation? Then I came out. By that time, people were all had gathered over there. Some of them were shouting at that girl. Now that lady was there in the car. It was a lady who was driving. So she got out of the car and she started shouting. So I was wondering, why the hell is she shouting at me? She's done, the person who is having a mistake has done the mistake, and she's shouting at me that I am not driving properly, because she had come from this lane to this lane. Okay, so she should be apologetic, but she was angry. What she was doing probably was trying to shift the blame on me so that she can be safe. Something is going on in her mind. Later on, the police came and said, "Madam, ये आपने गलती किया है, ऐसा कैसा आप चला सकते हैं?" And then we both were asked to come to the other side. At that point of time, we started talking. She started shivering. Then she started crying. So when I think about it later on, it is anger to sympathy or empathy that you are saying, and things finally settled itself. But this is the shift of emotions that happens, and if one is able to think about it at that point of time, there are many things that can be avoided. Many things that can be avoided, and that being ability to avoid unnecessary things from happening, I think, is what is self-transformation. Is what I feel. This whole statement makes sense to me now. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you were mentioning, understanding that emotion and changing, because this reminds me of something which spiritual teacher has said. Any problem that you face, the solution, is simply to change the context.
Yeah.
So every problem occurs to you in a certain way, so you have a context for it. So the only way to solve any problem in the world is to change the context, that is the way in which it occurs to you. So initially it could have been that, for example, you felt that she came from the other side and banged me, she's wrong, blah blah. Then if you change the context to something happened to her, maybe she was not in the right frame of mind, unwell, maybe something happened, or in extreme cases like a heart attack, something, and suppose the person was supposed to come this way. This kind of thinking completely changes the context, and you don't feel that same emotion.
Yeah.
And you're able to deal with it in a more equanimous, and relaxed kind of a manner.
Yes.
So changing the context is something we need to do for every problem, and that is obviously an ongoing process for self-transformation.
Yeah. And changing the context will happen only when you are able to access that emotion, right?
Otherwise, looking at it objectively, then you realize that, okay, this is what is that. Let me think of it in another way. Yeah. Why did this occur to me in this particular manner? Maybe there is another meaning for it behind it. I think the classic example that they give is another road-related one only in all the books that I've read. So, for example, you're driving and suddenly there's a car in front of you which is going very, very slowly, okay? And you're like honking, and that person is not going fast at all, and your anger is keeping on increasing, building up inside. Absolutely. It's a common thing, road rage kind of a thing. And then, for example, if you were to realize that the driver is actually a very old lady who resembles your grandmother, for example, immediately all your anger, everything, blah, blah, will disappear, because you have changed the context that way. So that is the best way towards self-transformation and dealing with emotions. That's what I feel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this maturity will come with time, or it can be developed by anybody, like I suppose a youngster, because most of these things happen with youngsters. Elder people, at least they don't rush out of the car to hit and beat and all that. But at least maybe people in the 30, 40 years of age, they might get that emotion, and that they don't experience it. They experience it in the sense they feel it and they just react to it.
Yeah.
So how can this be changed there?
I think so. See, for generally people like us who have reached a certain age, we have reached a certain maturity, we know that maybe this was the wrong way to act, and we know there is a concept of changing the context, etc. But for the younger generation, etc., they have to be taught this. That is why you have organizations like UJustBe, etc., who are trying to do this. So I would request anybody, send them to the UJustBe Experience Center, and then they'll get an idea of what these things are. Because people, like you said, they just react blindly.
Yeah.
But then they need to understand these principles of changing a context, what the context means, why it's important to change it, and how we can solve all the problems with it.
So they
have to be kind of trained and guided on this particular path. A bit of mentoring is required for that.
Right. What about jealousy? Is that
Jealousy. That again, I feel that changes when you mature. Initially, when you are young, you may feel envious of somebody who has more than you, or is richer, or better looking, or blah blah blah. But over a point of time, you realize that it simply doesn't matter, because that's when you reach that stage when you know that okay, I've got certain strengths which this person simply doesn't have. He may have more money or whatever, and you realize that everyone has their pros and cons. So you have to just be happy with what you have. That is one way to deal with it, I think.
The jealousy thing, yeah, that happens now many places, I think. Just at workplace, at home, or not home, but maybe when it is somebody else who is prospering, that time some people's reactions itself tells that.
There is a small joke or a phrase or whatever which puts all this in the right context, I would say. One is that it says that when you're in your 20s, you worry about what everyone thinks about you. When you're in your 40s, you don't give a damn what anybody thinks about you. And in your 60s, you realize that nobody was thinking about you at all.
That's right.
This is the perfect thing. Yes. When you're younger, you tend to compare yourself, etc. But then over a period of time, comparison is useless, expectation is useless. So that maturity will get you out of all these things.
This comparison thing happens a lot with parents.
Of course.
Comparing their kids. Even nowadays also it happens. Then of course it used to be there, but we used to get
not
time
to this level.
Yeah, not to this
what
level.
You're seeing nowadays.
Because in our days I feel that we used to get time to go out to play. We used to go out to play. Nowadays
we used to be outside only.
Outside only most of the time. And then parents maybe towards at the time of examination or something, they say, just see how that one is studying. You are not even anywhere near to that. Why can't you be like that person? And that's only at that point of time. The rest of the time we get a chance to go out to play. But aajkal ke kids, many of the kids, at least I think, say 80% of the kids don't go out to play.
There is peer pressure, then there is parental pressure.
And the amount of studies probably. And social media, these gadgets. I think if one moves away from these gadgets, at least there might be a change. Would there be? I think they will be able to maybe experience certain emotions. What do you think?
And one thing is I feel parents need to be educated first, not to put so much pressure on their children. Because that competition is literally and figuratively killing them. It is that way. You have so many kids, not able to stand up to the pressure, committing suicide, etc. So that's really sad. It's more a competition between parents. So that should not be taken out on the children. That's what I feel.
Yes. That later on, I think, will do damage to the kids. They will not be able to even do this kind of experiencing emotions. By the time they start doing it, that will be too late.
And they're missing out on their childhood.
Yes. They're missing out on the childhood.
Okay, so one thing is kids of today being more pampered than what we used to be. And this is bringing out a lot of negative emotions on their side. For example, they can't stand any criticism. And even laws are such, in foreign countries, you're not allowed to, touch a kid anymore. No question of beating them or anything. So this is like almost retarding their development. What's your opinion?
Yeah, because I don't know whether it is pampered. It might be more, I think, because everybody is working. If you see, even both the parents are working. And to counter that, how to take care of the kids, they might have some other help at home. Or maybe they send them to the child care. Now, child care will have a lot of kids, so they can't give really attention to one kid. And घर पे जो होगा help, she is not really interested in growing up her child. Very few of them are there who are sincere. So effectively, the child has nobody to talk to. All the other children are also involved in all this mobile thing only. At the most, what happens is chatting, or phone call होएगा या chatting होगा. So I feel that children should not be given access or given mobile phones itself till at least they reach 8th standard or 9th standard, because till then it is really not required. ऐसा देखा जाएगा तो.
So as lived example, how did you deal with Sidhu? He would have asked for a mobile, I guess.
Yeah, he asked me. He asked me.
What did you do?
I said no. 10th के बाद ही तेरे को मिलेगा. I just.
What was his reaction then? He was angry, all that.
No, actually, I'll tell you. when he was young itself, he had expressed a wish for a dog, a doggy.
Okay.
So me and my wife, we discussed about it, because see, it is not so easy to have a dog at home.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, to bring up a dog at home is no joke. First of all, uska alag emotions रहता है. A dog has its own emotions. So, and another thing is,
उसका shift of emotions पहचानना हमारे लिए इतना पड़ेगा.
and
हम transform हो जाएंगे.
but those things are really great. But अपना tiles जो होता है, it is not conducive for their, उनको problems हो सकता है.
Okay.
So ऐसे तो बहुत सारे चीजें हम लोग सोचे. बाद में हम लोग बोला कि since I think we should get him this. And one fine day we bought him the dog.
Okay.
So वो dog आ गया तो उसका जिंदगी बन गया.
अच्छा.
Siddharth, he was involved in that. And he got totally involved with the dog, and he did not need this.
So he used to take care of all the whatever is required.
No, that doesn't. Only love portion. Taking
Only the petting and cuddling part of it.
Okay. Petting and cuddling happens, but not all these things. The rest, everything is our responsibility. And but that really weaned him away from many things. Okay, and there was no need. Then he did not feel the need for a mobile phone or something, because whenever he used to come from school, this guy would be there wagging his tail. उसको खुश रखता था, दोनों मिल जाते थे, उसमें टाइम निकल जाता था. फिर पढ़ाई जरा वो जब होगा, फिर शाम को खेलने जाता ही था, बेचते थे हम लोग. तो वैसे था उसका डेवलपमेंट. अभी नाउ आई एम सीइंग माय brother-in-law and sister-in-law, उनका जो बेटी है, she is now in the, I think, 6th standard. Till now she doesn't have a phone. She has not been given. She has access to the phone, but she doesn't. She keeps herself involved in crafts, painting, something like that. बचपना का things ही है सब. नहीं तो कुछ आजकल आता है वो एक some gel kind of thing. Okay, so she's involved in that, but she doesn't see this, and she has been permitted to see TV only for so much hours.
Some duration.
Okay. ऐसा नहीं कि 2 घंटा, अभी वो 1 घंटा वो टीवी देखने के बाद पढ़ाई करने का, ऐसा नहीं है. उतना टीवी देख सकता है. तो she has split that into 2 sessions. What she wants to see. So that she sees. Remaining time she uses for playing this or doing some craft and all that. But at the same time, another friend of hers, उसका parents have given her access to the phone. But nowadays the phone content is really not.
Of course.
And it's all easily accessible. There is no, even if there is any child lock and all that, but doesn't work much. Well, children are very, 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 very intelligent. They are built for this AI generation. Their minds work that way. So they know how to circumvent all these things and see things. So the kind of content that is available online,
especially OTT, since they have access to it, is causing all kinds of negative emotions.
OTT,
so much of rage.
OTT, YouTube, all these things. And there's so much of rage in that. There's so much of negative emotions in that. These things go to the children. We don't realize it. The parents don't realize it. For the time being, the child is involved in something. But after a particular age, when they start going to college, they are not able to handle emotions. Okay, that's why we see, I feel, and this is my reading, we see this the inability of kids to accept things. That leads to anger, killing or suicides, all these things happening. I think it's probably that. Maybe if we, bachpan se hi, if we involve kids in games, not involve them into these social media things, don't give access to that much, and such a way that it should not be a pressure. It should be, the child should understand that that TV and this social media and this mobile phones are not what is important for me. They should
inculcating the right set of values.
Inculcating the right set of values. That is an absolute responsibility for parents. That's what I feel. Like I'm now going to be 59 very soon. I'm 58. So in this age, that is what I have seen. That's what my experience tells me, and my reading tells me. So parents need to, what do you say, think about this. Because later on, it is going to impact them only. If they don't bring up the child properly, the child is going to grow up in a different way, and that different way will not be suitable for us when we grow old.
Of course, yeah.
So that it's a tit for tat kind of a thing. If we bring them up properly, there's every possibility that they will also grow up properly and look after us properly or take care. Because we need support later on. And it's not selfishness, but I'm just saying. And for them also, for them to take over in future also, it is good. What do you think? What do you say?
I think it's a very huge problem nowadays that kids are literally not taking care of their parents in the old age. That is simply because of things they might have seen, or they don't have the right values or respect or anything. And another thing about people putting pressure on kids for education, and frankly, I feel you don't need that nowadays. The point is that in our times it was like you have to be a doctor or an engineer, or BSc is something looked down upon kind of a thing.
But there's so many
now, so many options now. You can even do nothing. You can hang around at a cricket ground. You get into some IPL team. Your life is made. So I mean, they have the choice. So what is the need to pressure kids into academic performances? Not required at all nowadays.
They need to be observant about the child's interests, tendencies, and so that they can channel the child that way. That the child can go on that strain rather than be trenched up and pressured into doing something that he doesn't like.
Eventually, you want a happy child.
Happy child, yes.
So whatever is required for that, you should be doing.
Yes. Anyway, I don't know. This was a right thing to talk about, because some of the emotions that I felt, like shyness, anger, fear, jealousy,
talking of shyness, how do you deal with, are you comfortable getting compliments and appreciation and credit and all that?
Yeah.
You are? I have a different opinion. I don't like it, frankly. So maybe something strange in me.
Okay.
So it comes from the childhood shyness or whatever, but I hate it when people praise me also.
Okay. No, I don't hate it. I think it's from the childhood only, as you said, no? From the childhood only. अरे ज़्यादा बोलेगा तो कुछ हो जाएगा. Something negative will happen. It's there somewhere in the subconscious.
That has not yet gone out.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I feel sometimes कि shyness मतलब if somebody praises me and all, I feel, am I really worthy of so much?
Exactly.
So that self-doubt is there. So क्या बोल रहे हैं, इतना किधर कौन सा है?
इतना बड़ा क्या कर दिया?
इतना बड़ा मैंने क्या कर दिया? So that is the kind of thing that crops up when I say shyness. About this, whatever you're asking me, na? Praise करेगा तो कुछ होता है क्या? This is the kind of shyness that happens. And the shyness actually leads to self-doubt. And क्या बोलते हैं, ये मैं कर सकते क्या? Can I do this? So that self-doubt is always there, because I am shy. If I do this, should I do this or not? Will it be successful? So I shy back. So that, and if in a business atmosphere, I think as an entrepreneur, we should move out of the shyness, is what I feel. You have to go and meet people, and you have to talk about yourself. You have to say something good about yourself. Maybe a little bit masala dal ke.
As a business owner, your prime job is marketing actually of yourself and your product.
So we need to be able to move out of that emotion, shyness ka emotion.
And the right emotion, or what we should be presenting ourselves with, is assertiveness, as opposed to aggressiveness. Just get your point across politely.
That's actually a very important point. Assertiveness versus aggressiveness. Aggressiveness really doesn't help. One has to be assertive. Assertive at the right levels.
So that is where the age and maturity comes in, because you can judge the right time when you need to be that.
Or then listen, and also I found that listening to this article, you can find there are many gurus. You have YouTube is really a treasure trove. Like you have Isha Ravi Shankar ji, Sri Ravi Shankar ji, and Gaur Gopal Das, and many others. Even foreigners are there. Too good, their motivational speeches. It really keeps you grounded. It really can help you experience the shift of emotions and access your emotions.
At least self-transformation happens when you listen to some of that.
To some extent, it definitely helps. I think it's good to listen to these
And
every
we're
day.
at the age where we can actually absorb and get what they're
Yeah.
really trying to say behind it.
Yeah, and even the youngsters can also
Hmm.
just make it a point to listen to something positive like this
Hmm.
every day. Every day, just half an hour also is good enough.
Hmm.
Before going to sleep is the best time.
Yeah. Hmm.
You can just keep something on in your earphone and listen to that positive chants while you can go to sleep.
Hmm.
It's very good actually. I feel little grounded. It has helped my brother-in-law.
Hmm.
I know it personally. I know it. How much it has helped him. Every day he listens to something positive, some meditative, some tape is there.
Hmm.
He listens to that 15 minutes talk or something, and then some breathing exercises, all this on this, and it has really helped him. In the last 1 year, I have seen the transformation.
I do that. What I do is we spend a lot of time driving and commuting and all that. No? So always have some tapes of with regard to spirituality or something.
Yes.
So rather than listening to some song or something, it makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking all the time. So why not think something positive?
Yes.
So it changes the energy when you go for a meeting or anything, and you're more calm and confident by the time you reach anywhere. So that's been a real good help.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So, have you come across situations where, which, like पहले जैसे आपको situation हुआ है,
Mhm.
तभी आपने ऐसा react किया था और अभी बाद में different, means after you have, with your experience, कुछ बदलाव आ गया, similar kind of situation जब जिंदगी में आते तो, how has there been such situations?
Yes, I think I had this kind of experience both professionally and personally also. Professionally, whenever I used to get any say bad feedback from a customer, earlier it used to be very hard hitting for me personally, because I tend to be a bit of a perfectionist. So if there is any work that I have delivered or promised to the customer and I do it, I'm very, very sure that I've taken care of all the angles, this, that, etc. And I'm happy to deliver that. But in spite of that, something happens and I get a harsh criticism or something like that. That used to affect me terribly. Simply because I'm a perfectionist, I'm like, मेरे से कैसा ये हो सकता है? And how can this guy talk to me like that? So that used to disturb me a lot. But then over a period of time, what has happened is I've come to accept that I can't completely be responsible for what someone else in my team might have done without telling me, or some exceptional circumstance which has happened due to which he's firing me or whatever. So I've become more calm in such cases. I tend to look at it more objectively than subjectively.
Okay.
And my focus is now, thanks to the spiritual teaching.
Okay.
Anything that comes up, the only two words that come to me are what next. Okay, उसने चिल्लाया whatever. I'm not going to sit and do a postmortem. अरे उसने ऐसा बोला लेकिन मैंने ऐसा किया था फिर भी बोला all that. I just look at it. Okay, इसने बोला fine. What next? What is my reaction to it? How am I going to solve this thing and make him a happy or delighted customer again? So that is one major change that has happened with regard to dealing with professional things. On the personal side, I've been working with an NGO for some 12 years right now. So initially my involvement with the NGO was more that, okay, we feel that, okay, we have to contribute back to society, so let's try and do something that way. So when I first joined this NGO, it was more about, they run different projects and they need donations for running those various projects. It could be on environment, education, helping the needy, etc. So I was more than happy making some kind of a monetary contribution, because I felt that, okay, kuch ho raha hai, this, that. Something I'm doing, I used to feel a little good about myself. But what happened was during the COVID times, when things were very bad in the area where this NGO was operating, and in fact they couldn't even function properly. That NGO provides medical facilities also. So we used to have a lot of poor people coming with different complaints, this, that, etc. And then that made me realize that what I'm doing is simply not enough. It's not enough to just give money and be happy about it, but you need to put some more time and effort to actually try and help them at the grassroots level.
Yes.
So that kind of changed my perspective completely, and I was more concerned about how much effort am I putting in rather than the contribution, because everybody puts a contribution. We get donations from other corporates, so the money is there, but are we making effective use of it so that these people are actually benefited, etc. So that changed my perspective, and then we started different kind of projects. where we were actually going to the slums, giving them kits,
Achha.
this personal protective equipment, sanitizers, hand masks, whatever the people really needed. We actually went around in the slums, donated to these people
Oh.
and to the sanitation workers who were being ignored basically by everyone. So we donated to police stations and fire brigades, etc. Because these are the people who are actually going and tackling the problem firsthand, and nobody kinds of is bothered about their own protection. So I feel this was a major transformation for me. Have you had any such examples?
Same as you, like I like to cite two instances. One is from my professional as well, then the other from personal. In the professional thing, what I have noticed is that this fear, how it can be tackled in the sense. Now, before my work life, this current profession, that is business videos, I used to be in the IT. So in the IT, I used to work. I was a salaried individual. So my focus was, it was not kind of the passion that was pouring in, because my passion was technical. When I first joined the company, I used to be in the technical, first joined the IT industry, it was technical. Then it went on to leadership roles, management roles, and etc. And so you go down the things that you're passionate about, it just slips away. Now, in my case, if we have to do some kind of a proposal or something, so we just do it from the mechanical perspective. So we are not completely into it. At least that's my case. I'm not generalizing it. So when I'm not completely into it, I do not have complete knowledge about that area of work that I'm doing. Therefore, there is always a fear that what I have done is right or wrong. So I do the work try to finish it up in time, but there is that fear, and that work, I don't feel that full satisfaction of doing that work. Because that fear is there, because I'm not sure whether what I've done is really the proper way of doing it, because that I have not completely focused on the whole thing. And for me, that whole thing is huge, because ये तो कितना बड़ा है. How do I get a knowledge of it? मेरे को इतना ही करना है. I will focus on that and try to finish it. So that work, I'm doing it as a salary perspective. Okay, but when I move to making business videos, similar kind of work, like estimation, proposal making, all these things, the technical aspects, same kind of activities to be done here. But I was not feeling the stress, because by the time I had to get into making these estimations and proposals and all that, I had started learning a lot about this and had a lot of information about how to go about things. So मेरे को knowledge अच्छा था उसके ऊपर. So therefore, I was more interested in doing that, coming out with an estimation template, and then on my own, and then making proposals which are good.
So there was more enthusiasm than what
more enthusiasm, and there was more all-roundness in my approach. So I think
that you were doing it with integrity.
Integrity is there. Work integrity is there. I have been told to do this. You prepare the estimation sheet. So I am preparing the estimation sheet. So they already have the Excel sheet and everything is ready. I had to contact multiple departments, got the information, fit it in. But what is the overall picture? I don't have that. Some sales guy over there says, put this in place, and we have a team of 4 or 5 people. One guy is involved in doing something, I am involved in estimation, somebody is doing something else. And holistic picture, I am not. Whereas in this case, there is a holistic picture. Okay, I am going to make this kind of a video. And therefore, I need to do these things. So that whole picture is there. Therefore, that level of fear has gone down, and more of integrity, as you said, has cropped up. Whereas here, that fear was there. Integrity is there for doing that much activity. Whatever I am doing, I want to do it right. And I have been doing it right, but why? That whole picture is not there. So that fear is always there. मैंने किया क्या? फिर somebody asks me another question, and I'm lost. अरे हाँ यार, because I don't have the whole picture. So that fear factor is always there. Here there is no such thing. So here facing a client with some solution is very easier for me. Even if I have done the kind of similar kind of activities, even though the sphere of work is different. So that is something different that is also, I think that is one area. If fear can be, that emotion can be brought under control if you have, in this kind of a context, if you have good knowledge about that subject. Second thing, in from personal angle, if I say singing, I think singing is one area. हमेशा एक डर लगता था, सिंग करने में बहुत अच्छा लगता है. I have, God has gifted a little bit of good voice, so
More than.
so I try to, somebody gave me an opportunity and I sat there and sang. Now that time I did not think यार ये बराबर गाया क्या नहीं है, गाया मैंने. और उस टाइम पे गाने में और अभी का गाने में जरा बहुत फर्क है. That time I never used to think too much कि भाई क्या उसको बोलते हैं, ये जो फियर जो है ना, फियर एस्पेक्ट जो है ना, वो उसका इशू होता था तभी. मीन्स इन फ्रंट ऑफ द ऑडियंस, if the paper is not there in front of me, then I am stuck. Then I don't know what, it's gone like suddenly, because what happened was once this paper was kept in front of me and it flew away. And I was not prepared for it. So that is the situation. But now what I do, I really listen to the song. I prepare it, but I still I'm having issues remembering the song unless that song is really very close to my heart. And you have got very few songs like that which goes into my heart, for me at least, in my case. So I think that fear and that maybe the shyness also, all this can disappear if you have more, if you are prepared more about that content. So that is one of the things that I felt. Actually, it is similar if you see. Fear, in that time also fear was there, here also fear, it is the same emotion. But here it is different way. Singing का है, इधर मेरे को बाहर करके एकदम neat clean हो गया तो, if I am prepared, goes well.
Yeah, about today's evening, it was quite wonderful. Not what I expected at all, because due to my still having a fear of public speaking, etc., I wasn't sure whether I'd be able to speak properly. But then I found that I spoke a lot more than what I intended to. So a lot of things just came out, because of these examples and things that Satish said. So they triggered off something in some old memories of various incidents that would have happened to me in the childhood, etc., came out, and I was able to, I feel, express myself. So all those emotions that we were talking about, etc., I was able to go back in time, access those emotions, and see how I used to deal with them before and what the change has happened to me over a period of time, and how it has literally transformed me from where I was to what I am now. So thank you. It was a great experience.
This was something which I had not expected. In fact, when I came here and when I was given this topic, I was like thinking, what is this going to be? But when I started speaking to Nandu, when we started discussing different emotions, and Nandu started telling his emotional journey and whatever he was facing, I started getting an understanding of this topic, and it's really deep, and it's really means what is it? It has opened my eyes even now also. Like though I am saying that I have got control of certain emotions and all, but it's not that. It's an ongoing journey. Every person has some kind of emotional issues, some fears or some shyness or some anger. But the point is experiencing it, the ability to look at it, experience that emotion fully, and see how you can access that emotion. So that this topic itself is very interesting. So I feel that we all should take an effort of trying to go deeper into what our emotions are going at that point of time and how it is moving from one state to another, and see how we can access it so that we know how to be able to control negative emotions later on when it happens. Like our life is going to be replete with these kind of events, unknown events, unpredictable events, wherein these kind of emotions are over and over going to come. But the more you are able to experience it and access it, the better, because we will be able to handle them in a much mature way later on in life. So thank you so much, UJustBe, for giving this opportunity and letting us to be just be. Thank you. Thank you, Nandu.
Thank you.